Hi and welcome to Minijack. So in this video, as you saw, I will be playing with this massive 5x5 matrix mixer with a Pluck'n'Duck VCA matrix and another secret thing. I will explain everything about it. And so the video will be divided in several parts. In the first part I will explain all the setup and everything that's behind what I'm doing. And then there will be little parts of performance, so just music, and then the technical explanation for that part. And I also have a lot of videos in archive from the past, a lot of performances, music, and a lot of technical stuff on matrix mixers, distributed signal routing, and also other kinds of topics. And as I'm catching up with orders with matrix mixers, I will be editing the content and will put on the channel. For example, one of the next videos will probably be playing with a mixer which has a built-in amplifier for piezo discs, so it can make piezo discs emit sound, and I'm playing with a classical guitar with feedback and feedback injection in the physical world. So it's if you're interested in this kind of things, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you will be updated, and I just can't wait to put my hands on all the material and be able to have the time to edit and give it a proper form. And so, yeah. I will be using two things. A matrix mixer, you might know something about it. So this one is a 5x5, so this part here is just a 5x5 matrix with triple inputs and triple outputs. It's got banana, minijack, and quarter-inch jack. So it's compatible with guitar pedals or any type of synth with quarter-inch, and Eurorack and Serge, Buchla, Bugbrand with the banana, and voltage limits are also compliant, so you can use this mixer with any of those types of synthesizers, and you can also seamlessly mix control voltages and audio. It's not a problem. So this is the audio part, and each channel has also a gain control which ranges from 1x to 5x, so you can also use it as a bridge between a line level board to a Eurorack, say, or any kind of synthesizer world where the voltages are usually higher, and all without distortion, of course, because of the headroom. And it also has kill switches on the outputs, which are very useful. And then this part on the left is the Pluck'n'Duck VCAs. So there are 25 VCAs, one for each node. So instead of using a knob, I can kind of control or program the movement of a knob with a VCA. Also, the VCAs have double inputs, banana and minijack, and the switch is to put them off or on, basically. So if I have a sound which is just going on, if I activate the VCA, for example, I am controlling it with this LFO. But if I just take it, the VCA out of the path, it will be just the sound. the Pluck'n'Duck VCAs, I talk about it. There is also a more in-depth video just about those. Maybe I will put the link in the description, but they accept any kind of signal, so audio or proper CV, and they can convert to the right level, because there is 1 to kind of 120x gain on the gain knob. And they're called Pluck'n'Duck because with the gain clockwise, like after 12 o'clock, like this, I have, when the incoming signal is on, the sound is on. And this is the smoothness, by the way, which is an attack release control. It sounds very musical because it's made with vectors, so optical coupling, and it also makes sure that your control signal and the audio are decoupled, so there is no bleeding. And as I go counterclockwise, the sensitivity lowers, so now it's not able to trigger anymore. And after 12 o'clock, it becomes the opposite. When there is a signal, it ducks down the signal. And the more I go, the more it gets ducked down. And I can do this kind of... it's basically a sidechain compressor, but I call it Pluck'n'Duck because it's funny. You have this like the plucking sound and ducking effect. And you can have it more kind of strong or more mellow, and it really it sounds like something in reverse, and it's very nice usually. So yeah, I think it looks complicated, but it's fairly simple machine. It's just a bit massive. It takes like a moment to parse what you're looking at, but yeah. And I will be using several pedals, usually 2 at a time, for the performances you are going to see in this video. And it will be the Juice Box from DoD, which is a distortion pedal. Big Muff Pi is an overdrive. This is actually like 20 years old thing. It's the first pedal I built in my life, so it's in a lot of stuff in its life. And I will also use a phase shifter from Boss, very nice to use with a matrix mixer, and a stereo chorus from DoD, also a very nice choice to mangle the signal. And so all the audio, apart a particular case, but you will see it, all the audio is synthesized with feedback synthesis. So like this one, it's just this one feeding back on itself, and this one is the other one. So with just two pedals and one LFO, it's already possible to make some interesting things. But yeah, that's it for the mixer. And the second thing I will talk about is this little thing. It's a small project. It's in its prototype phase. It's called Nyx. It's the Greek goddess of the night. And it started as a project to be able to kind of recycle my old PS2 keyboard, but it will eventually support also regular USB keyboards and whatnot. And the idea is like I wanted to have a tool to create, to live code, to program, to write, where I do not have a screen. So for example, the first thing I wanted to do is to go outside and just write, plug a keyboard and write. I don't have the problem like there is too much sun so I cannot see my screen. I don't have no screen. No problem. Yeah, solved. And it's now implemented with an Arduino Micro, so it's also with a small set of features because it has like 8 kilobytes of program memory, 2.5K of RAM, and 1 kilobytes of EEPROM storage. And I still managed to squish a lot of things in there, and in the future you will use a custom platform and will probably want to use an SD card for external memory, because that's where I feel like I want to be able to store more data. But for the rest, as for computational power and RAM, it's pretty good. So it has two modes. One is performance mode, I call it, and you basically have all these. Let me reload quickly. Or this one looks prettier. Yeah. So you have these little LEDs which are actually decoupled from the signals, so I can kind of have, it's our little version of a screen. I can select which one I want to modify. So let's say I want to modify first, let's do something, we start from this one so we can see it better. And I can select one, and with this one I can change the frequency, so it's faster, it's lower, by a medium amount, a big amount, super slow, and a finer amount. So I have a fine amount, mid amount, and a big amount. So yeah, it's barely flickering now. And in the other directions, I can control the duty. So now it gets shorter and longer. Also, you can just turn off LEDs or make them always on, or just go back to what they were. So now, for example, we want to have them off so we can see that one, and maybe turn on the second. So, and with this other one, we are controlling the phase. So for example, let's go back to where they are all the same, and we can turn off everything but the two. And for example, I can change the phase of the second, and I have like a little step sequencer with 8 steps, so I can just phase shift the second. Like here, it's in the middle, it's step 5. Like if you have any step sequence, 5 is in the middle, so they're alternating because now the duty cycle is 50%. So they're on half of the time and off half of the time. And like this, it's just out of phase almost entirely. Like this. And I can also have increments here, so I can manually set finer increments. And so you have these 3 parameters. For now I just implemented a square wave. All the output is 1 bit because I wanted to have a very very minimal approach to that. And also in this prototype there is no decoupling with the ground, so maybe you can hear some noises. It's like rubbish from the power supply, and yeah, when it will eventually be a more complete object or product, this will be gone. And so you have three parameters: the frequency, the duty cycle, and the phase of the waves, and they're all square waves. I just implemented the square waves just to get a gist of how it would work. And of course you can have pulse width modulation and all kinds of stuff. Even if you are in the 1-bit realm, it's actually very interesting to explore such a limited space. You know, I have this passion of taking a very limited set of possibilities and exploring what set of capabilities actually, and explore how many possibilities you have with just those. And then there is the console mode, and it will eventually support a whole language. It will be called Raven, like a raven, something black, dark, you know. It's all about Nyx, the goddess of night. It's all about being able to type in the dark or without a screen. That's the concept. My main vision will be to be able to play live code blindfolded, because you don't need a screen, and if you can touch type, you can do that. And the idea is, when you are not able to see, you listen more. Like, you make a change. If it doesn't really affect the sound, you will know it, because you will not have like a visual clue. So experimenting, I saw that sometimes I mistyped a command and I was like, yeah, that's probably I didn't do it right, and because I immediately saw it. While when you are focused on a screen, it's easier to miss this kind of nuances. And so Raven will be the language. Like, this is again just a little prototype, and I just implemented a very small subset of features, but it will be, in my idea, a functional reactive environment. So and also data flow. So kind of something like Haskell, but also statically and strongly typed with type inference. And for now, it also has lazy evaluation for the ones who know and care about this kind of stuff. But yeah, and everything is to be able to implement a data flow. So where it's like kind of programming patching cables, where signals are continuously flowing. I don't have to build procedures to check if everything is coming in as a value. Everything is a signal, so it's kind of programming some patch bay, some giant or infinite patch bay. And all the commands are short, like, and of course there also are immutable data. So when you want to change something, you have to explicitly say that you want to redefine like a variable, because it's a constant actually. So like, for example, RR is to redefine something. For example, this frequency now is faster because I redefine it as 4 Hz. And like the duty can be 0.1, so it's shorter, or 0.5. And for now, actually, it's also all working on float values, so it's a bit bulky. I might want to do it with fixed point math, but yeah, that's I will see. And yeah, for now, this is the important things. Also the phase, of course, you can redefine the phase like 0.6, and yeah, something like that. So yeah, more on that topic when it will be more mature. For this video, I just want to put something together so that I myself get a gist of what I need and how I want to arrange things. And so yeah, I think that's it. That's the Matrix mixer, that's NYX, and kind of a little preview of what can become or will become. I will probably make it a Eurorack module, so I like the idea of being able to just plug a PS2 keyboard in a Eurorack module and get out some analog or digital signals. And I also like very much this paradigm where I have a fully digital realm, but I am able to program the kind of the control flow in a digital way and a predictable and reproducible way, so that every time I load something, for example, I can save and load. And it's always the same every time I reload it. And on top of that, I have an analog layer, so I can control finer details and also have a little bit of that voodoo effect when you don't really go back where you started from. If you go somewhere else, when you come back is never exactly the same, but something will be the same because you can program and save things from here. So I think it's a very nice balance. It was very, very interesting to work in that way. I've been wanting something that solid for controlling VCAs for some time, so I'm very glad I finally did it. And well, yeah, I tried not to delve too much into the programming and programming languages stuff, but yeah, maybe I will edit something down. If you're interested in this kind of things, get in touch. I will be super happy to talk about it for hours. And of course, if you're interested to get yourself a Matrix mixer or any kind of mixer, get in touch. I can make custom builds, or you can choose from some of my products. And well, I think that's it for now, and I will leave you to the performances and technical speeches. So for this one, the idea started with wanting to hear the digital clicks. So I made two channels of clicks, which are two shifting phases and also shifting frequencies. So they're not always the same, and it's a little bit difficult to see here because the duty cycle is very short, because I wanted to have single clicks, and if I have a longer duty cycle, I am hearing both transitions, low to high and high to low, but as the duty gets shorter, I just hear a single click. So I have those two, and it's a nice rhythm. And then I thought maybe it's not so interesting to listen to just the clicks. And so I thought, let's inject them into a feedback loop. So here it is, and actually without the feedback it's still kind of like pinging a filter, because it's going through the phase shifter, and so it is basically taking the frequency of the filter in that moment, and it sounds like a note. I have it on 12 stages, rising phase shift, so I get this nice. I can make it faster. But it's just a matter of chance, because they are obviously out of phase, because this is digital and this is analog, and they're not coupled in any ways. So I just keep it on a slow rate, so I have some variation, but not too much repetition. That would be too fast like this. So yeah. And this is the feedback of the phase shifter on itself, and I can create these nice sounds. And of course I can compose the rhythm, just have one, the other, and on the second I have a wider duty cycle, so I am hearing the transient up and transient down, and they kind of sound different. So and they overlap sometimes, so I get this harder click, which acts like as an accent in the rhythm. And this is feedback, and this is triggered by another channel from NYX, which is as usual correlated to the others by frequency shift. And also in this case I have a very short duty cycle, because if I don't have a very short duty cycle, I will have too much time. So what I did, I am using the shortest possible duty cycle, and then I can adjust it with an analog control here. So if we only listen to the, and this is the release of the VCA, I can get more short bars or longer sounds, and I usually keep it just a little bit slow, but not too much. And with this I can decide the volume of the hits and how hard the hits are, basically. And so this is the like the percussive part. Then I added another one, which is feedback on the chorus. And what's happening here, the chorus is constantly feeding back. In fact, if I turn the VCA off, it's just like that, because I have this one, which is a steady rhythm that is pinging the filter, the chorus. So without anything, it will just feed back. Like this, I can just be on the fringe of feedback and get these kind of elastic sounds I was making before. And then I have another signal, which is a bit of a longer signal, and I'm using it to gate the first. So the first one is this steady rhythm, and I am using the duck function in the Pluck'n'Duck. So it's a sidechain compressor basically with some release. So when this is on, I'm not hearing the sound. With this one, the release, I can decide how much sound is muted basically. So I can get a richer rhythm or a more sparse one. And of course, I just keep all the correlation with Nix, which is very nice, and I can twiddle the analog parameters. And so this is the whole thing, and I can just basically pause it, which is what I was doing at the beginning. I saved a parameter set where everything is off, so if I load it, it's off. Then there is another one which is on, so it will initiate this feedback, and I was keeping it quite low, so I just have from off to on, off to on, off, and then I put it back, and yeah. And when I started, of course, I had only the rhythm, and maybe it was just one. So yeah, that's basically it. It's two loops as for feedback, and they're never cross feeding back. So these two controls are never used. So each effect is feeding back only on itself, and yeah, I mean, the core concept is simple, and then complexity is almost kind of emerging from the fact that we are putting together and binding the different layers, and yeah. So for this one I wanted to have something relying a little bit more on performance. So I wanted to implement touch. So that's what you saw at the beginning. These are banana inputs. But they also have this very nice rim, which is very comfortable to use when you use bananas, because you can just touch it and try things. It's very fast, very nice. And also because of the Pluck'n'Duck VCAs being very sensitive, or yeah, there is a high sensitivity, like 100 or 120 times gain. I can just touch and the electricity of my finger, let's say, it's enough to trigger it. So for the sound that we are hearing, so this is without anything. It's actually a very simple feedback loop with the Big Muff Pi. It's an overdrive. This one is like 20 years old. It's the first pedal that I built. And this is another distortion box, is the Juice Box by DoD. And they are basically cross feeding back, so those four knobs control how the two loops intertwine. Basically, there is one loop, which is the Big Muff Pi feeding on itself, and another one, which is the Juice Box feeding on itself, and they're kind of together. And that's when you get this because the two waveforms that kind of emerge from the distortion, the clipping bounds, kind of have some beating frequencies, and they're quite high frequencies, so their beating frequencies are also audible in the audio range. And then I am sequencing, just for the listening part, I am sequencing it with from NYX. It's very minimal, just ta 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 ta. And then I am sequencing, this is going into a channel, and I am deciding how much of this ta 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 I am putting into the actual VCA to listen, and I'm choosing it with my finger. But then there is a second level. There is another channel which is sequencing, kind of deciding how much I want of that. So this is basically, this one acts as my finger, and it's another signal. So it's like touching sometimes. And this one I have it on duck, so if I touch it, it mutes it, and I can use the other one just like that. I'm holding its mute. And so I have this going on, I can modulate and do stuff. And then in the second part I shifted to a higher octave, changing a little bit the sound. And what I'm doing here, basically in the first part I was just playing with the performance mode, where you can select the LED and just adjust it with the keys, and just going faster and faster, and then slower, and changing kind of randomly the duty cycle. Then I entered in the console mode, reload it, so that I have the same thing. Then I am changing the frequency of the fast one at 7. And then while performing on the knob, I'm setting the frequency of the second at 5. So that we have this nice double rhythm, polyrhythm. And then again, in the end, I'm just going into the performance mode and decreasing the frequency until it's slower, and just finish the piece. But the interesting thing is, let me reload it. I use 5 and 7. Actually this is even nicer. I just accidentally inverted the two. But yeah. This was 7 and this was 5. It works because they are prime numbers, so they never catch up, kind of. And also I can do it with like 3 and 5. .5 does that. And all of these things are made to sound kind of like delays. So it's nice because I can just, when I touch it or when I trigger it, it sounds like it's a delay, but it's actually not. It's like the superimposition of two patterns. So for this one I wanted to play with some more weird ideas. For example, running signals at audio rate from NYX, which is absolutely possible and will be one of the standards when it's done, but for now it's not implemented in the best way. I'm using third-party libraries, so I'm not managing the timers very well. So yeah, I cannot go more than, say, 150 maximum to 200 hertz as for frequency. So I have two signals, those ones that you see barely flickering, because of course on the visualization LEDs it doesn't make sense to visualize a 100 or 50 hertz signal just flashing. That's 50 hertz, that's 100 hertz, so it's an octave higher, so they are in tune. And I am running the lower one through the phase shifter. Let's turning off all the VCAs so we can hear how it sounds. So yeah, this is the 50 Hz through the phase shifter, and I'm basically using the phase shifter almost like a filter. I mean, actually as a filter, because the ratio is at 0, the speed is at 0. I like this gritty sound that kind of sounds like the deep voice of a monk. It has some vowel quality. On a 10 stage filter, because the phase shifter is like a filter in the end. And so that's the bass. And for the high part, the 100 Hz, of course there are square waves because everything is 1 bit, so it's just switching very quickly. And the duty cycle is set at 50. Of course we can change it, but you will hear, for example, if I put it to 20%, it's kind of a sputtering because it is too fast, and at this stage of prototype we cannot really manage these short times. %, which might be, I don't know, interesting for something maybe. But yeah, not for this demo. So let's put it back to 50. And this one is going through a stereo chorus, this one. And also here I am just using it to shape the sound. I'm not twiddling a lot. I can change the timbre a little bit. I've also fancy phasing effects. But in the end, the phase shifter and the chorus are almost the same thing. They're based on the same idea, but laid out in a different way. And so yeah, those are two sounds I'm using. And then there is a third parameter, which is the feedback of the chorus into itself, but it is influenced by the sound that goes inside here. And I can also sometimes inject some of the signal coming from the phase shifter inside the chorus. So I get kind of this, and also the timbre of the feedback does change. And then what I am doing with the gates, I am using a gate to decide how much of this sound is going into the phase shifter. And okay, let's turn all the VCAs on, and like for example here I have two, it's always playing with beating frequencies. So here I have this one, and while listening to that one, so it's again a Boolean AND, when they are present at the same time, when they are on at the same time, I'm hearing sound, whether or not I'm not. And I'm listening to that here, so that's here, that's this other signal. So when these two are on at the same time, see, there is sound. And these two are the two audio rate signals, so that's the sounds, the bass sounds. Those three gates are all overlapping frequencies on a cycle, like 1 and 1.5. It always catches up at the same time. It's not like 1 and 1.33, which is mass, sadly. It can be done, but not with this kind of precision in the prototype. And also I am duplicating this signal, and of course the same is for the other sound. I have just a very fast gating sound, which is the base of the sound, but that will be it, just gating. But to give it a bit of variation, I am creating an extra channel with audio coming from the bass, from this part, and I'm using it to trigger what I'm hearing from here. So it's not continuously just like that. I can also put it on reverse, on ducking. It's interesting. And but yeah, in what you heard, it was just barely like that, so it has this kind of delay-ish. Let's experiment with these other ways. It's interesting as well. And of course, when you have basically the idea is to correlate all the parameters, and this is the binding basically. Here they are not so bound. I mean, I can bind the frequencies so they are naturally bound because they are beating. But here there is a real bind because I'm constraining the signals. Basically, they cannot do everything. They can just do a set of things. That's what I want. And for the performance part, I like very much that I could just play with these two ones, these two knobs, and get a lot of variation. Because for this one, for example, and also the other one, it depends when I activate it. it has different effects. So there is like a machine pattern that is quite rigid and digital and always repeating, and I can superimpose it to my performance, which can be rhythmic, but it's both the fact that I'm not an exact metronome, and also that I can decide on the fly and it's very direct. I really like the contrast between being able to program something to be very exact and always the same, so that is done in a way, and you can perform on some other parameter. Yeah. And also in the intro of the piece, I played with the funny idea of because I have saves here, save files. This is the regular pattern that I built, so everything, all the bindings and the performance and everything else is tuned for that digital program, but I also have others saved in NYX, so I sometimes just try them, try the old ones and see if something sounds good, and yeah. So this one, I mean, it's pretty random, because which one I'm triggering and what it's doing in the analog realm, I mean, it's just random, but and it's very nice because I can twiddle and play and whatever, and then just be back to the other one. And what was that? Yeah. Yeah. So I hope you liked this video. I enjoyed it very much, and thanks to the guys at Vemon Fest for having this video. And of course, if you want a Matrix mixer, I make custom builds with VCAs, and there's a lot of stuff. I will put all the links down in the description. Just get in touch if you want one. We can build anything. I have some giant builds coming up. You will see it on the channel. You will also see other stuff on the channel. As I said also in the intro, I have a lot of material, and I will edit everything down once I have more time. So yeah, expect more goodness and technical stuff and musical performances. I have a very nice video I want to edit and upload next. Will be with a classic guitar and feedback in the physical world and signal injection with an activated piezo disc that runs at 100 volts, and it's all built in a mixer. It was a very custom build I made like a year and a half ago. I have all this video material, and I will put them together for you. So yeah, I think that's it. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you're not yet subscribed, consider doing it to keep updated, and stay tuned for more videos.